dice que todo se va. Sáquenme la botella que funda para gastarle. Esta noche tú y yo nos vivimos la película. Luce cámara, la acción después en mi recámara. En el duelo no se sabe quién ganará. So baile, baby. Ese seguro y retrocede. Que me encanta la manera en que tú lo mueves.
Solo pégate un poquito, mami, que yo quiero enseñarte lo que yo tengo para ti. Lo que tengo para ti. Sé que te va a encantar como meto yo.
That's right.
What is going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. I hear it back in my... Okay, I hear the reflection. I'm back. I came back to me. Maybe that's how the vibe is going right now. But either way, you're back in Primetime Studios, and I am, of course, Primetime Phil. And like always, we got Game Time in the house. The Time Brothers are back. Off season, in season, doesn't matter. We are here. Game Time, welcome back, man. I'm glad to have you back in the house.
Welcome back. What's going on? I love it. I love it. I am excited about what's about to happen. But yes, thank you, Phil. This is home, baby. This is the best. So
well, I was
nothing but the best.
I was actually, just kind of like doing my thing today, getting ready. I'm like, we're going to maybe possibly do a draft thing. So let me do a draft overlay. That was in the past hour. Then we start talking within these past 10 minutes, talking about drafts. So that gets me excited, man. I love the draft. I know there's a lot of content creators that love the NFL draft as well. I know there's a lot of fans that's in there going, I don't know how people can sit there and watch the NFL draft. It is so boring. It's just like... Well, you know what? If you're really into football, if you're possibly into any kind of college football, and you're really in the NFL, I think the transition together is amazing, and I love when two worlds collide like this. And just like Primetime, Game Time, worlds are colliding. Here we are. But this is what I love talking about, man. I love talking about draft possibilities of who's going to drop where. You know, we talk about guys that I just don't like as much, like Dane Burglar, but that Bugler, yeah. But he's on the money. Like he's constantly, just being able to get a project, be able to say, okay, this is where I feel like he's gonna fall. Now, they don't always fall that way, but at the same time, I think the way that people's careers have kind of pushed forward, it's kind of shown that he's been right a lot of those times. So I think that's where you kind of give him a little bit more credit. There's guys that we've looked up to in the past that have kind of slipped in the past couple of years. I know we have one particular guy that we have in mind that we don't always see eye to eye with. But I know Game Time, I know you're going to have some prospects that you love in this draft, and I'm going to have some that I love that you don't. But I think this is where we get it started, right? I think this is where we start talking NFL draft and what's the best way to do that, Ben, than open money for this free agency. I mean, where are we going to be? What are we going to need by the time the draft opens up? Lots of things to talk about. Where do you want to start? I think that's where the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, well, we could go anywhere, but just looking at Jeff Lee, real quick, Genti will be a Raider now. Pete Carroll wants him. In my experience, Pete Carroll was never drafted a running back that high. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. And where you're saying that, I mean, I was going, why did Geno go to the Raiders? I guess, yep, that makes sense. Pete Carroll, go ahead, continue.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Jeff, he may want him, but again, I've seen Seattle under Pete Carroll wait, and go with a lot of other positions, then come back with the running back. I will be very surprised if Seattle, again, did Seattle move up or something? They're still behind us, right?
Yes, they're behind us.
Oh, you mean the Raiders want Genti?
The Raiders.
I got you. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. But it's good speculation. We'll see. I mean,
that's what this time of year about.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I wouldn't say dumb, but I know Dallas, it would be fine if they got him in 12, but Genti is by himself, but he's a little bit smaller of a guy. How close are the Raiders to winning? I mean, are they a running back away? And now with Geno Smith?
Well, they need to get an identity. Here's the thing is, like, if you don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket, for example, he goes out and they get Geno Smith. at least an established quarterback that can win you games. I think to me, he falls under more of that category of the backup quarterback that can come in and win games for you while your starter's out. And I know and that's why when they signed him and everything, I was like, really, this is really what we're gonna go with. But I mean, when you have a guy, you have a guy, right? And I think that's what Pete Carroll kind of showing. If I can have a capable guy and then get a lead back in there, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I think if anything that they shown when you got guys like maybe not Robinson, for example, or Brooks that kind of popped out, but when you're looking at Gibbs, for example, how they drafted him high on there, and he's kind of been their workhorse after Montgomery, which honestly I didn't know why Montgomery was their main back at the first time, but Gibbs came in there, was able to kind of hold that offense on his back, and honestly, it's just even when Goff was doing all his interceptions, I mean, at least they could rely on him to run the ball. So I mean, Goff, sorry, and so I think getting a running back to just do something, at least slow down the clock, so you're not.
I could see it. Yeah, I mean, I could see Genty to the Raiders. Yeah. And you know what? There's a little bit, there's a little bit of me saying I hope he's gone before we pick.
I get it. I totally get that. I'm a Genty fan, but I'm okay if he's gone. I'm okay if he's gone as well. So I get
I mean, if he's gone, then it's out of mind. Now we get back to business as usual, knowing that we got a lot of running backs in this draft. Mm-hmm. Let's put it this way. Who would I be more excited to have at 12? Tet McMillan or Genty?
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you got a quarterback and you do not have really any receivers for him, it seems like you'd want to go out and get him a receiver. But I get the running back as well. So, I mean, that team just needs a lot of weapons, right?
Yeah, Ultra Cowboy, exactly. I was asking for you earlier, brother, because it seems like you're inside the numbers like not many people. So I knew that Landry probably was on the downside if he was getting released, as well as a lot of these guys.
Coyote, you and me both, man. That's kind of where I'm going to go with the next one. I think as we're talking about this stuff, we're talking about free agency. We talked about the main thing. Osa, of course, signing his 4-year, $80 million contract, 58 of it guaranteed. When I was talking to my girl the day before, I was like, well, the Cowboys probably should sign him for about a 5-year. I said, but if being realistic, probably 4 years, 80 million, 60 guaranteed. I was off by $2 million. I think that's Jerry Jones trying to do their savings. Oh, I saved a little bit of money on this my side. Whatever.
Now, I don't know if you saw my video, but did you look inside that contract?
Mm-hmm. I've been looking at it. Very well structured.
Saying, there's a $500,000, and this goes back to what we used to talk about, Phil, regarding. Remember, he would like tail off
at the end of the year
on in his career. Yep. Remember, every year, not so much injury, but he was gassed. He wasn't.
But we talked about this.
Effective.
Do we re-sign him because he kind of falls off at the end of the year?
But there's a $500,000 de-escalation in salary every year if he does not take part in the offseason program, which obviously he's going to. Which leads me to believe, and every year of the contract, Phil, there's a minus $5,000 in salary if he doesn't meet certain criteria in the offseason program. What does that tell you? That maybe he wasn't showing up in the offseason?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I think I love the fact that when you press,
I think he's at his best when he
has the pressure on him. Well, no,
like
okay. Well, we all know.
Show up enough.
Well, we all know Matt Eberflus has this system where
but Rob Bryan would call him Flus.
You need him. You need that 3-tech obviously to be this guy, and he has a lot of those qualities. You just need him to be able to show up, and I think putting these incentives or some of these things in the contract kind of. Okay, no matter what, we're not going to, if I'm going to give you this contract, I need at least that guarantee that you're not going to, go backwards. We're not, because obviously we all talk about how with the NFL draft, if you pick the wrong guy, you set your draft back or you set your roster back quite a bit of time by picking that wrong position or picking the wrong guy that you're developing or wasting your time on. So I think the same thing says, in this situation. And so, oh man, there's just so many ways you can go with every single position, isn't it? I think that's what makes the offseason amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Oscar Perini, how are you, bro?
But they bring it up when we're talking about Osa signing this contract. Are you happy with the contract in the end?
I am. Again, it's all about the guarantees. I like. They even have a where he gets docked money for not being active on game day. So again, at the end of the day, he ain't gonna make all that. But he took a team-friendly deal, people.
I thought he did too.
Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
I mean, on the haters on the outside like to say, "Oh my God, you overpaid for an average player." Yet when you look inside the numbers, Osa Odighizuwa ranks number 1 amongst interior defensive linemen in a quarterback pressure. Yes, Phil, number 1 in the league. So when you look at certain things, he's getting his job done. Yeah, he's not 1 in sacks, but I asked Phil, who played quarterback, all right, so I would say a lot of times, and you could, please correct me, a lot of times sacks are sometimes on the quarterback.
Yeah, let me just tell you one thing. As a quarterback, sacks, pressures don't mean shit to me. They're the same thing. they feel pretty much the same thing.
What I mean? Like,
it's on there,
pressure and affecting the quarterback and getting off your spot.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. That's why I'm telling you that to me that's the same thing. Like you may hold on to this ball, but you're feeling it. You're getting hit. There's a moment you feel it around you, so it's getting in your head after a while. That you got to get rid of that ball sooner than you want. Okay, I'll make that decision. Oh, wait a minute. Let me give it a.
If they're getting home early in the game and start having happy feet back there.
Well, especially when you pair him with a guy like Parsons, for example, that is high on pressures as well. And then you can get a guy that can scheme and a defensive coordinator. So yeah, I'm excited about bringing him back. It's just you got to pair him correctly. You got to. There's a lot of potential out there. You got Jonathan Allen that just got released. I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, I hear 49ers is a big possibility for him. So, I mean, I would love to go there, get him, and then get a draft pick out of, 1 or 2.
I want him. Yeah, for that reason alone. We need to stop taking back seats to the 49ers. If the 40 and that's an organization that I respect how they evaluate and do business. I'm not saying they're perfect. Nobody is, but the Niners, if they're interested, I'm interested. Because if I can get them to take them with me, I only ask you, Phil. He's a 3 technique, so how would that work?
Man, he's big enough to be whatever technique. Let's just be real, man. He's a big body. I think his play style, it just doesn't. I sit there and go, is there going to be a problem with putting him next to Osa? I don't think so. I think you're going to need to put bodies on them, whether they're pass rushing or helping with the rush. I like them both. Even with Osa being more of that pass rusher, I still love him being able to get into the gaps that he needs to. I feel like, a lot of people kind of give him crap because of certain situations, but I feel like he was having to play out of position a little bit just to make up for some of the lack there was in that defensive tackle position next to him. As much as, as badly that talks about other people. But I think he was kind of doing that Zach Martin thing that was for a while where he's having to play a little bit extra because there wasn't that talent at that tackle position before, they kind of solidified that a little bit more.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, I hear you. I was just curious because I know he technically is a 3 tech. I like the idea of getting him. That's all I was saying. Good evening, Primetime and Gametime. Hey, Mark.
Mark, what's going on, man? Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate that a lot.
Your email, brother. Let me know if you don't want the tumbler, the big tumbler. Let me know. But I was gonna send you that, so just let me know. But yes, man. Coyote Mozzie hopefully continues to improve. Well, I know that the defensive line coach, White Cotton, he made a comment that he looks forward to working with Mozzie, and he sees a lot in him. They expect something big from Mozzie. Again, I'm worried that if you don't love football, then that could be an issue. But
here's the thing is, I think Mozzie is going to be amazing. But guess when he is going to be amazing? It's going to be in that 5th year. It's going to be that 4th year. It's going to be that 4th year where it's that contract kind of year or whatever,
Us at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel that that's kind of where it's at. It's going to be who the hell was that? Martellus Bennett? tight end.
Yeah.
Okay, we drafted him. He's gonna be that future thing. Where he's a clumsy fool. Got the dog that poops all over the place, like in those episodes of the Hard Knocks and stuff like that. But then he turns around and goes and becomes this amazing tight end later on, Chicago Patriots, stuff like that. So it's just I kind of feel that that's going to be that situation, is that he's going to get all this development. I think this is the best coaching staff that's being presented in front of him that's going to be able to help him the most. Like before, we were like, okay, maybe we'll be able to do some stuff here or there, but it was, again, I don't know. It's hard to explain in the sense that you needed kind of them to be on the same page from the moment that they kind of got in the door, and I don't feel like that was happening with Mozzie. Obviously, everybody has a plan for him, but I know that when they talk about him, I have seen him improve. He gets off on the snap, so his timing on how to get off on the ball has changed. But man, you still, he has improved last year, so I would love to see the next level transition. But again, I think I'm wasting too much time on Mozzie right now.
No. Hey, listen, I brought him up. So
what about Goldston? What about Goldston? You bringing back Goldston?
Oh, well, here's the deal, and this is what we're talking about. This is what I need to know. Supposedly, D-Law and his agent gave Dallas the number. Whatever that number is, Dallas has it. Now, nothing's happened, so that tells me Dallas doesn't like the number.
What's the number?
Maybe
like
Dallas.
Two-year 24? Are you going to tell you?
What do you think it is?
2-year 24?
I'm saying 15 mil.
Like he's going I would be paying him 8 to 10 per year. That'd be it. So I don't blame Dallas for not wanting to jump in.
You brought up Golston. And I'm just saying
I'm not a Golston
we need
fan.
to identify if D-Law is in or out. Because if he's out, I want Golston and Lawson back.
I'll get both of them out of here.
Back.
Get them both out of here. Like if Lawrence doesn't want to sign for 8 to 10,
we're getting rid of.
I'm getting rid of Golston as well too. Like
my God.
Yeah, I understand, but if I'm not, unless he's taking,
so you're going with a hot boy then, okay?
I'm going with the new free agent, and I'm going with at least 2 draft picks. If I could get 2 guys in there, like a Dante Walker, if I can get, oh no, that's what I'm saying. I told you I don't want D-Law. If he's not going to sign for an 8 to 10 million,
I want D-Law.
No.
Okay.
Only if he's signing 8 to 10 million. That's where I want 8 to 10 million.
Okay.
I'm not going to. 2 for 30. Hell no, I'm not paying that. Like, especially like with that.
I would go 2 for 30, and then maybe do, I don't know, 24, 20 guaranteed, something like that. I don't know. I like D-Law, but again, I'm not gonna get, like he said, like Ultra said, and like you're saying, Phil. Again, I'm not getting into a bidding war. I'm going to gamble that you don't want to leave. Where are you going? To Philly? Okay,
yeah,
go to Philly.
He's going to go somewhere. I don't care.
I don't know what to tell you. You're going to rip up your kid for the last 2 years of your career and your family and leave Dallas to go with.
Yeah, and he understands being a lifetime Cowboy has its benefit and stuff like that. So, I get it. It's just, I don't know, man. I love D-Law, and I would love to have him back because I think he's a leader. But I feel like most of the time when he was talking for himself. He was, we're the locker room. He, to me, as soon as he gets out of football, he should be on the representative for the labor union for all those guys because that's how he talks. Everything out of his mouth is something about we tired and we don't get paid and we did this and that and people are talking. It's just like, so to me, that's his best job is because he's always worried about everybody else, not worried about what he has to do. Okay, I'm going to talk a lot of shit in that sense. But again, if you're being $15 million a year kind of shit, you really think very highly of yourself and you're writing that thing where you're trying to take away money. Like that's another $5 million. We could get a defensive tackle right there with that $5 million. You're sitting there trying to take it all. It's just like, nah, man. It's just I'm tired of this greedy ass. I want to be paid almost the highest in my position each and every single time out. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's why I give Osa credit. Osa's going to be my dog going forward as well because again, we were Osa fans. We were Osa fans, but the fact that he takes a team free deal still gets his money. Everybody kind of wins in this situation, and so I really like the move. Yeah, Abdul Carter would be great and crazy. But there's a lot of pass rushers I feel like too in this draft that you would. there's some that could fall to you and you just be like, man, are we stupid and we don't pick this guy? We got to kind of pick this guy, don't we?
Right, right, exactly.
So, yeah. So anyways, Brian, we can go anywhere in this. I mean, there were some re-signs that we were talking about, like Brock Hoffman. I love the fact that we got Brock Hoffman back. Some of these guys, they didn't really have much choice. You got like Wheat, Hoffman, Wanye Thomas. Really didn't have a lot of choices of signing these contracts, but they did sign the contract, so it's great to see them back. There's guys that I don't want to see back that I keep seeing come back. We got the C.J. Goodwin. That is our Bill Bates, but not as talented. You'll hear his name twice a year, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's the reason why we got him. It's just like, it's not until like week 13 or 14 that happened this past year. But again, here we go, Goodwin. Mark right here says, don't be surprised if the Cowboys pick up Dart in the first or second round. Don't get me excited. Or it was in the third. Game time, the Tumbler will be fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's fine.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that. But yeah, man, if we could get it just sucks that I don't really want to waste. I don't want to say waste because that's not a waste. If you get pick a starting possible quarterback for the future, or if something happened, at least you have a feeling of a good quarterback coming in. Oh, at least he's getting some game reps. You feel something about that. You don't feel it wasted on a Cooper Rush, or you feel it wasted on a Trey Lance. I totally am behind that. So it's for me to say waste it. No. It would I would love for one of those things, one of those guys to fall into your lap kind of situation, But again, they talk about how they want to come out of this draft with getting somebody. Well, of course you do, man. You don't have Cooper Rush and you don't have Trey Lance signed. Of course you want to get somebody, right? Who's that other guy? Who's the veteran that you would sign right now in the free agency market that would not be Cooper Rush or Trey Lance?
I like Mariota. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking for guys, knowing who we brought in as far as offensive coordinator. I'm looking for a guy with some mobility. So that's why I said maybe a Mariota. I don't know. I haven't analyzed all the free agent quarterbacks, but I like a Mariota. I think he makes a lot of sense. But I haven't really analyzed it. Just off the top of my head, I do like Marcus Mariota. He's beat our ass at least, he beat us, I think, at least once when he was with Tennessee. But I like the player. Just real quick, I'm looking. What's this? Michael Gallup is
coming back,
returning to the NFL, huh?
And they released him. They allow him to go and seek whatever he wants to trade. I do not want him back.
No, thank
you. I do not want him
back. Real quick though. This Geno Smith move, I know we're going to talk draft, but the Geno Smith move to the Raiders for a third-round draft pick. I'm just saying why to myself.
Which side?
Okay. For the Raiders. They could have had Shedeur Sanders.
Because, they could still have Shedeur Sanders. That's what I'm saying. They
could, but why would you give up a third-round
Because then you don't shove them into the spotlight, or you force them to have to be the job just doesn't come, and I'm just me. It's just me, maybe you have a Sanders that is arrogant, and you don't come into the situation arrogant, thinking you're automatically the starter. Maybe you automatically bring him back down to earth by doing that. So how Pete Carroll is. There's always some kind of deeper meaning behind shit.
Yeah, I guess, and I know it was an interesting move to me. I'm not a big Geno Smith fan.
I am not either, man.
It will be great working into Prescott on 2 years, and you never know when Prescott gets hurt. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like that. Yeah, and I appreciate again the donation. I appreciate it a lot. But you're right. I mean, if you're getting somebody in there, you're looking at Prescott for a good 2 years. Getting somebody back there that you don't know when all of a sudden just tear his. Just by sneezing. He's at that age now, man. You can't just laugh without stretching and stuff. So.
I'm looking at.
Everybody knows that, man. You can't be laughing without stretching. But no, it'd be nice to have somebody that at least when he goes in there, everybody's kind of on the edge of their seat. They're like, okay, what kind of development is this? Or and of course you're gonna have some people jump on the bandwagon. Oh my God, he should be the starter. We should be trading Dak away. And they're like, people are gonna ride the roller coaster and everything. But that's what you want. You want something to get excited about. You want the fans to get excited about the possible future with the player, not going, hanging your head down, going, well, I guess it's another one. So yeah. I'm all excited about getting a quarterback because I think there is at least 4 or 5 in this draft that you could possibly get a good quarterback if you were to, what Mark is saying, sit him there for a couple of years and let him learn how to be quarterback,
Yeah. I mean, because I see where Kirk Cousins asks for and gets a meeting with his owner. He wants out of Atlanta, probably for a chance to start, so I'm seeing Seattle may be a place for a Kirk Cousins. Just looking on the surface, I don't know. I just found it to be a very interesting.
Brian,
Maybe
I'm gonna
Seattle's known for.
I'm going to ask you something. Clemente has this question. Says he's aiming it at me, but I want to answer it secondly because. Oh,
I know.
Okay, so he says, Primetime, what about Dylan Gabriel, quarterback from Oregon? How do you feel about them?
No, thank you.
I do not like him. I am not.
Oh, okay.
I do not like him. I can't even compare. I can't even compare him to Doug Flutie, just because I felt like Doug Flutie had at least some skill there. Man, I don't want to rip on my Oregon guy, but I need. I do. I need that little bit extra. To me, it feels like he's like a Tim Tebow type of situation coming into the draft. And nothing against him. I mean, he led a program, but again, Tim Tebow led a program as well too. I think he's a better quarterback, so I can't rip him on that. And he's not as great of a runner, but I think from the right situation, if there's not a lot of bright lights on him, I think he could develop into something at least to be formidable, be down to Miami type of situation like a Tua. He makes good decisions. But I'm not sold on him. I'd rather have one of those taller guys.
Yeah, and I like what Ultra's saying. He says if Sanders falls to 12, try and use it, as a trade with Seattle, right?
There you go.
Drop down only 6 picks and get a second-round pick. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, but
that's what we need to
now
do.
when they talk about that, now let's say Seattle came to you and says, "What about we swap first and DJ part of the package?"
DK.
DK part of the package. We're swapping first, plus you give me a third or whatever that is, a fifth.
Well,
I don't know what it is.
Everybody. I had brought that up earlier. I don't know. I've said it a few times, but that Ultra actually brought it to my attention, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, what would really? What I need to do is get a hold of the trade chart, But everybody saying, "Oh, that's not enough for DK." Again, you people have to understand. When you're paying a player, you're not necessarily you really don't get first-round picks anymore. Especially, everybody has to understand something. Like, just please, everybody, just relax a second. During the draft picks are at a super high premium, which means they're not giving them up. It's like the old adage, Prime. If I'm trading you a 5th next year, the value is like a 6th. Because you got to wait a year to get my pick. You have to upsell. Like if you are trading, you have to give a higher pick next year because it's not worth as much. But it's very hard to get draft picks on the day of the draft. Yeah. You're not getting a 1 necessarily. Well, for DK.
But that's the thing is that's why I say that is that with DK, if the situation called for it, where all of a sudden Sanders drops back to 12. And they swap with you, they give you that guy that they're having problems with or whatever, just to get rid of that. And yes, I know $30 million or $20 whatever million he's demanding, but if you're just swapping and you're still continuing to keep that, and you get to have this guy for at least a year or so, it's hard to not want something like that, Yeah,
and I agree what he's saying. But
and
I see what you're saying. You can keep the player and still have an 18th pick.
Yep, exactly. And so with me, don't get me wrong. I mean, if I would rather, if you're going to give me a wide receiver, I'd rather have a free agent Devontae Adams that I can negotiate and not give any kind of draft picks with.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I said this a few times recently. What I want to do, Phil, my plan is to free agent on the defense. Let's solidify the defense. I don't want to trade any draft capital for an offensive weapon right now, unless it's a young player from the Jets, but they're not getting rid of him. Garrett's not leaving. They're holding him onto him now that the cancer Aaron Rodgers is gone. Mm-hmm. So I want to keep my picks and get some young offensive firepower, whether it's Genti, whether it's McMillan, whether it's Ikbuka.
And see, that's where I'm with you. That's where I'm with you. I would rather get those skill positions that you normally have to pay big money for in free agency and get that in the draft. That's how you save money. And then you pay those other big positions that that isn't as much. Or you have to take a gamble on your offensive lineman instead of paying one that's established. You have an all-pro here or whatever like that, and then you fill in with those high position skill players that you would have to dump a lot of money into. So that's the combination. But you're hoping they wake up a little bit on that. And as we talking about that and them signing some of their guys back. We talk about Hoffman coming back on the offensive line. We've heard, there's some rumbles that, I've heard some rumbles at least about Steele. They really want to see where they were there. Guyton, they're still trying to figure that whole thing out. Do you really feel like they can evaluate it correctly prior to the draft without working these guys out in front of them? Is it something they can look at on film and go, okay, this is something we definitely want to work with? Do you think there's enough out there?
Yes. You meet with the player, but more importantly, you look at the film. Absolutely. That's what scouting is. That's what coaching is. There's plenty of film on all these guys. They'll know. They are very high on Tyler Guyton. He will be the left tackle. I'm telling everybody, stop trying to switch him to the right side. In this new scheme, Terrence Steele is going to be very, very good as far as a run blocker. He did come off a major injury, and I've been very critical of, I believe, I can't think of Mike Solari. Is that his name? The offensive line coach from the Landry era.
Oh, I cannot stand him.
He just, I hate to be mean, but I didn't care for the coaching. It's just from the outside looking in, it seemed like it wasn't a very well coached team. If you identify as Terrence Steele as a possible guy to be the long term, which I do, then I would restructure. Dude, there's so much money out here that we could go and really get some work done. But let's see. Ultra says, I believe our second wide receiver will be a Cup when he's released, and I really like that. But here's the deal. I don't understand sometimes Vegas, what they're doing. Vegas identified Jacksonville is the leading candidate for Cup's services, and I ask anybody in the chat because I literally don't know. Is there a tie to Jacksonville that I don't know of? I mean, his college coach is with Dallas. His mentor is with the Cowboys. So I just wonder what's with Jacksonville other than
maybe he feels like he can be the number one guy there. I don't know. Maybe that's the tie they're trying to go with.
Smart enough to know that he ain't.
They're well, not only that, but you're going there to what? Just for money to be the number one guy? Because you're not going there to win a championship. You're not sitting there going, not eyeballing Jacksonville, going, man, I could probably be that missing link. Like that. You're not eyeballing that situation like that. So if you're going there, it's to be that number one guy and for future, job security, really. Yeah.
Well, Randy McIntyre with the super chat. Let's not trade our picks away. Yes, thank you,
Randy.
Super chat. Thank you.
No, that is correct. I mean, we're all about Captain Trade Back. That's why you're hoping that if a lot of talent is sitting there, we're hearing a lot more. As I watch these guys, I feel. I know you said this before where there's like 15 or 20 people that's usually a first round grade that you have. I feel like there's a lot more this year. It definitely dips further into the second round, and you're going to get combines and stuff that they're going to trick some people. So I feel like you're going to definitely have some top round talent slip to you to the third and everything. So if you trade back, able to pick up some more picks, man, we're all about that every single year, right? Trading back. I'm just never about trading back once you're already past the 25th pick and you're picking around there. But, if you're top there in the top 10, whether you're 12 or whatever that's a great situation to be able to move back. Mark Hutchins said earlier here, he said, what player would be, he goes, okay, what player would it be that you would snatch up at 12 with no hesitation? I think there's so many, man. It's hard to pick one. Like,
what player would it be that you would snatch up at 12 with no hesitation?
So there would be a lot. I think there's a lot.
I have 3 with no hesitation. Outside of that, there's a name that I think that, especially if D-Law's not back. But here's my 4 guys. McMillan, Mason Graham, Genty, and then my watch out for is Michael Williams out of Georgia, the edge rusher. But those would be my 4 no-brainer. I'm not going to say Hunter. He's not coming to us. I'm not going to say Abdul Carter. He ain't going to make it. I don't know, but what about you, Phil?
Yeah, I think you nailed the first 3 with me. Graham, I love that defensive tackle. Again, if you're getting something in free agency, then I'm not as sexy about the pick, but especially if you're gonna be sitting behind people. But I do like it. I know Michigan, being on the helmet really kind of starts to mess with people, gets people PTSD. But honestly, it's just to watch his film. He just wreaks havoc. He's just a lot of chaos there. There's a reason why he'd be picked top, and then we talk about this. There's a difference between being picked at the top 5 when you're a defensive tackle and being rated up there compared to, you're going to be later on in the first round. That says a lot about your not creativity, but your productivity. Man, with I would say Abdul Carter would be that other guy. Carter is just a freak. Mike Williams is very close. Mike Green. Yeah, but there's one of those things. If somehow something happened where everybody got high on quarterbacks and somehow things started happening and he was to fall, yeah, I think that would be my guy. That I don't feel like we need an edge rusher guy, but it would make me pick an edge rusher in the first round if he was to drop there. And so if you have 4 guys that are sitting there, I think that's where the trade back feels a little bit more. Let the NFL kind of decide it for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's very interesting.
So, okay. So Mark says, if Debo gets traded for a 5th, what makes you think DK is worth the 1st and you still have to pay him? Not necessarily worth the 1st. I'm not trying to trade my 1st for him. I'm trying to switch spots, and because obviously they think very highly. They want to give a 1st and a 3rd. So think about that. Like, you won't even get a 1st, and they want a 1st and a 3rd. So that's why the NFL teams aren't jumping on it. A lot of them are just giving them offers of 3rd-round draft picks, and that's the highest it's going. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. That's why I was saying just the swapping of the picks, because if I was to swap my 12th to the 18th, it probably might be the 2nd rounder. I might get a 2nd rounder, but I could possibly get a 3rd for sure. So I mean, that's why I say DK with that switch. But yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be giving my 1st or anything. There's not really anybody hardly around the league that I'd be giving my 1st for. So anyways,
if I'm sitting there thinking, I would have to think with Garrett. I know I don't. That would be a tough one. I think I would give my 12 for Garrett. I do.
Yep. See, I told you there's a handful of them that you would, and Garrett would be definitely one of them. But you would need more than 1st.
I don't know about that. I don't know at this point.
With how he's unhappy, that's true.
5th comp. I mean, you're paying him a shit ton of money, but I don't know. Like, I think our 1st is more valuable than Washington's 1st. Because it's at 29. So I don't know. There's not many guys I would give a 1st-round pick for. So that's just me. I mean, I want to draft. So I want to either trade down and get more picks. I'm just that's where my mindset is. And listen, just remember, we could do anything we want. We have $55 million now. We haven't made any roster adjustments. We haven't re-signed Micah, that's going to save another 15 to 20 this year. Probably $15 million, maybe $17 million if and when they sign Micah Parsons. So money's not an issue. We haven't addressed our team. We haven't did any restructures besides CD and Dak. We could do anything we want. So go out, load up. It doesn't have to be top level talent, meaning first day, very, very, very expensive. I'm on the let's go get Nick Bolton. Okay, that's the rumor I'm hearing. Nick Bolton from Kansas City.
Yeah, I brought him up. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, Yeah, he's a.
But that's why a
26-year-old kid.
Jaheed Campbell in the draft, man. That's a nice one.
Yeah,
I don't like how
Campbell, yes,
I don't like how
yes.
now he jumped up there, and you're like, oh, you would have to pick him with that 12th pick, and I'm like, man, I was really hoping like that 44th pick that would be more of the situation there, but it sounds like he's jumping up high now. The combine,
the linebacker depth is not great.
No, not great.
Not
No, I agree. I give you about 5, 6 that I
that
like.
Level of guy, he's by himself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's by himself. Jihad Campbell's by himself.
I agree.
I think the Eagles have taken themselves out of Jihad now with the re-signing of Bond.
Well, that's how I feel with 2 receivers. Like I have 2 receivers up there, but then everybody else is kind of like that next tier level where he might as well be a Jalen Tolbert type of situation with the rest of them. So that's why with McMillan, I love that big body guy that we could definitely use. Have that where you're trying to get an Adams, a DK Metcalf. You would get that because obviously with that peanut butter, he would become a big body wide receiver in the NFL. So you would love to pair him up with a agile CeeDee Lamb. But then you got, for example, what's his name from Ohio State? Oh man, it's slipping my mind right now. Iboka. Great route runner. You love his route running. You know where he's going to be in every single situation. You need a first down guy. That's your guy. You need your Matco Gallup to be replaced. Boom, there's your guy. He's going to have some toe tag swag. He's going to run some amazing routes, probably way better. He's just, where he's going to be on the field. And so I would be okay with that one. So, I mean, there's some guys there that if you're trading back or you're sitting there, it's just there's so many options there that it's going to be hard to be pissed off when they walk away from that first round,
Yeah, definitely.
So,
agreed.
So game time, I thought this was a good situation to pull out a mock draft simulator. And this one I found. Let me switch it over here. Bam, here we go. Let's switch it over to the mock draft simulator.
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with this one.
All right. So with this one, let's see. We'll go, 3-4 rounds?
Whatever you like.
Okay. We don't have 4 picks, but we can always trade back or whatever like that. So we'll let you kind of go with this. We'll kind of speed up a little bit, Unless you wanted to slow it down a little bit. It's up to you.
Well, I would. It would be nice to just go over the pick. So
as they're happening,
just speed it and then just rewind. Just scroll
go
back.
Okay. All right. Let's enter this draft. All right. Let me see if I can move this a little bit. All right. There we go. So I can start the draft. Here we go. First pick, they got Carter, Pierce, Travis Hunter. And then we'll go back here in a second when they finish picking.
Ward, Graham, McMillan, Stewart, Fedor, Campbell, Gray Zabel. Wow.
Yeah, some interesting ones. So right now, Vikings are offering a linebacker.
Who's on the board? You gotta see.
This is us now. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna minimize it. I'm just gonna let you see these offers here. Oh, DeForest Buckner. And we only get to trade back 2 spots. Interesting. Okay.
I just want to see who's on the board. So we got Genty, Will Johnson. Let's discuss Will Johnson for a second. He just came out. He tweaked his hamstring. He's not gonna run. He's gonna have an April 14th pro day right before the draft and run his 40.
Yeah, as long as you do one of them, I think you don't hurt your draft stock at all.
So again, what's everybody thinking? I know what I would do, but let's look at the trades.
Well, the trade, I think that was kind of crazy because that Colts one kind of makes you think. I mean, this wouldn't happen in real life unless they're trying to really shop this guy out. But, like, for example, they're
not going after Genty because they have a running back. So who are they going?
So they want to trade you 2 spots and they'll give you DeForest Buckner, the defensive tackle, to trade back 2 spots. See, this is what I was talking about with the DK, where you trade back, just swap first. And they give you a player,
Right. I mean, what does the chat think? Because I know
I would do that in a heartbeat. But it depends on the. I guess it depends on the salary cap that he has, right? Well, how are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I mean, is he a 1 tech, 3 tech? Does it matter? I mean, how old is he? You know, that's the thing. How old is Buckner? Let me see. I'll look him up.
Yeah. Nobody has any opinions?
DeForest Buckner's 30. He'll be 31 next week. So yeah.
So Eberflus,
I would say no. Well, yeah, I guess
maybe part of his crew and stuff like that. But anyways,
I don't know.
Not doing that. Ultra says I'm not doing that trade.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, is there any other trades?
Yeah. So you had some other ones here. Hold on, go back. So Vikings will give you go back to the 24th pick. They'll give you a first for next year, a fourth for next year, and Blake Cashman, linebacker.
I don't want to drop the 24th. So I would say no, but I like the 1, dude. I do like the 1.
Yeah, and then obviously Cleveland's dropping back into the second round, and they want to give you a first and a second the next year, but it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're building for something, I would say yeah. So, what does everybody want to do? That's the question. I would take Genty here, but
I would too.
I'm just saying, you take the best guy available, but I mean, you don't have to. What are they gonna do? But are we doing what they're doing, or are we doing what we want to do? You know, that's the thing. I think you have to go Genty.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, and so I think we go in that one. Boom, we take Genty right now.
I mean, again, it's rough because I like Barron, I like Golden. I mean,
Ibuka sitting there is like, yeah. So I mean, we could trade back, but it depends on the right situation. You can also make trades, but then you're just kind of going in that situation where you're hoping they fall into a certain spot, right?
I just feel like what we're trying to do, just go get, if you really want to go to running the ball, go get the best one. Just go get the best one, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Let's discuss. I mean, who did the Eagles draft?
Whoa, man. Burton, like, when you look at this, when you're looking at this going here, let me go back here a little bit. We're going to be popping up with the 44th pick. Mario Hampton came right before us.
So that doesn't make me feel too bad.
Yeah, Luther Burden doesn't get picked to the 38th pick.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's kind of crazy. He has dropped a little bit.
What did the Eagles take at 32?
Let's see. They took Jalen Walker, the linebacker from Georgia.
Okay, Jalen Walker. I don't like him, but he may fit for you guys.
All right, so we go.
Yeah,
back
Philly D. That's what someone said. That's what Jeff Lee said. Genty. I'm kind of hoping he's gone, Philly D. But I'm just going to be honest. I think they would take him.
So in this scenario, and looking at this thing, I would take Campbell without a hesitation.
Jihad Campbell, Tyleek Williams, Xavier Watts, Nick Savannah. He's good. Keep going. Ursary, Trey Harris, Trey Amos, Mbao. Wow, Mbao's there. Ooh, that's interesting. Fannin, Henderson, we don't need. Keep going. I'm just trying to look for that name. Demetrius Knight. Yeah, I like the Florida State corner.
Yeah. Wanye's brother.
Yes. And then, I mean, all those receivers are gone, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, we got hammered with receiver. Go back to the top. Me, I'm looking at Tyleek Williams or Jihad Campbell.
Yeah, I would like to get my linebacker.
Is Makuba around or is he gone? I like Makuba better than Watts. I wouldn't take him in the second round, but I'm just curious if the safety's around. Yeah, it's all right. You can't just hit. Yeah, you should be able to go a DB. There you go. You got Watts. Where do they have Makuba? He must be off the board.
No, he's
at
at 87.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking horrible. Yeah, no. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I would do Campbell in a heartbeat. Campbell would be that guy. Yeah, or even the chat. Campbell!
I'll take you then.
Yeah,
Take you.
You got to. You still got some
Pick
pretty good
'em
wide
up.
receivers there. You're not trading back and stuff. Oop, oop, oop. Moving it.
See, this is just odd because I know who I would go next, but not really. Not really. I mean, you need so much as of right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There you
Yeah,
go.
before you haven't even hit, haven't even gotten free agency, so we don't know really where we're at.
Jihad, if the best linebacker in the draft is there at 44, then there's some bad drafters. So
Yeah, that's why everything's different. When PFF, they have
Howdy.
theirs. And, no, we're not going to give you that. That'd be pretty cool, but we're not going to do that for the sake of this draft.
yeah. All right, so where we sit here, we've drafted a running back and a linebacker. We need D tackle, we need wide receiver, we need edge rusher, we need corner, we need quarterback, but I think you can wait. Dart's gone, I would imagine, right? So, go ahead, man. We don't need the Schlesinger. I love Makuba here, but I find it hard to believe that he's going to be there. But I don't know, man. What's the best D tackle that's there? Is there any good one text? I can't read.
Sorry, I'm
What's
trying
tonight? That's linebacker. Got Kennard. The edge rusher I like. You got your boy Birch out of Oregon.
Gillette, I like him. Gillette, pretty good.
Yeah. Dart, I believe, is gone. Mark Hudson. I think Phil's anti Jackson Dart.
What?
No, I don't know. I think Phil's anti Dart.
Dart's gone. He's long gone.
Milrow. Yeah, Dart is long gone. Dylan Gabriel's there for you though, Phil. Yeah, I don't care. You guys.
See,
Me
Darius Alexander
personally,
does
I
make
would
sense.
probably-
You could kind of trade back, probably pick up something else as well.
Well-
You know, there's some guys that like, you know, Jack Beck. They exit.
Well, look at the
Xavier.
trades because we don't have a fourth. So are we in the fourth? No, we're
No,
up
it's
third, right?
So they just want to give
Yeah.
us seconds for next year.
Yeah, fuck that. We ain't doing that.
We could always go. Let's see. Let's go to Arizona. Let's see if we can. So let's trade. Let's see. I'm gonna trade you this. Where are you sitting, Arizona? See if he'll trade this and this. Oh, bam! They took it. Nice. All right.
Okay, so what do we do?
Nice. Okay, so now the Rams want to take that same 78 pick and give us pick number 90 and pick 100.
And how far are we? So we're dropping
We would drop
down 78 to 90.
about 12 spots for another pick. That's like 10
Darius
spots
Alexander
after.
there? Is it, where's
And-
Alexander on the defensive tackle list here?
I think he was like 120.
I don't care. I would trade down again, but let's.
Yeah, Darius Alexander, 126. They have him.
So so just drop down and see if he's there. Let's just load the hell up.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So we're gonna go ahead
Let's
and
load up on the middle picks.
Boom. Now, there you go. They got Jordan Birch. That's who they picked up with that. Now, the nice thing about this here, over on the side, you can see draft pick received, what we were going to pick with them, what we gave up, you know, or who we traded with the one. I don't know.
Evan Neal. Now, no more trades.
Yeah, we're done.
Let's look at our picks.
Well, there you go. Darius Alexander is sitting right there. I think we take him, get a nice defensive tackle.
Yeah, let's take our D tackle.
Boom.
But
there it is. Vinny's right, man. Deep tackle. There we go. We got a nice, big, huge one. That's a huge bitch.
what do we got so far? What do we
Yeah,
got?
where is it? Where is
Ashton
That's a
Genty,
huge
Jihad
bitch.
Campbell, Darius Alexander. Now we need to go to all best available here. I like Peebles, but let's go best available.
But we already have a
Schlesinger, we
linebacker.
got a linebacker. We don't need it. Makuba, there's my. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Hold up, though. I really like.
I'm
the
okay with
safety.
getting a safety. I'm getting okay with getting a safety.
He's the best safety. Him and Watts. So
Okay.
we got that. We got
Tez-
Savion
we got Tez
Williams.
Johnson in there too.
We got Savion Williams. We got Tez Johnson.
I would say let's take Makuba because Tez Johnson could possibly be there when we go pick up later, but I doubt it.
Well, yeah, but we're picking again at 14 picks.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If we take Makuba right
So
now.
go with our safety now.
Yeah, exactly. So then let's see if he's.
Like I said, everybody, you're not going to get everybody.
Yep, that's correct.
There goes Tez. All right. So, is Savion Williams still there? Wow, I think you might have to go Savion at this point. Because we took Genty, Campbell, Alexander, Makuba. Let's go wide receiver. Let's just click wide receiver here.
Williams.
Just isolate them. Savion Williams is he's a beast. I love Savion. I think that's the pick, but just in case. You sure?
No, I agree because we need to get a wide receiver, at least somebody.
Or look at tight end. I doubt Mason Taylor is there, but you know.
Yeah,
just go over
there,
tight end.
talking about.
Yeah, there's that Ferguson I was telling you about, Phil. Your Oregon, yeah, the law firm of Ferguson and Ferguson. Now I would go with Savion Williams.
I would agree. That Ferguson, they got.
But I mean, that's just me, you know. Savion. Randy says Savion.
I agree. I think I'm gonna go there. I just want to see who else.
You got Jack Besh, Vinny. I know you got Jack Besh. I think Savion Williams is a special player. Not that he's special. He brings special traits that are, if he pans out, he could be an absolute stud.
That's not bad, man. With that draft right there, with trade a little of this, trade a little that. Got Genty, Campbell, Alexander, Kuba, Williams, like that. Yeah, man.
So what? Yeah, man. I mean, that's if you get Makuba in that spot. But again, this is why it makes it that much easier to draft if you go out into free agency and address these needs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Go out in free agency.
Pick best player available.
Yeah, that's where you want to be. And if the best player available is a tight end in the second round because you went out and did your job in a free agency, then that's what it is. I mean, traded for Haley, exactly. Ultra, you did. We did. We did trade for Haley. So there it is. There it is, everybody.
I like that, man. I feel like you got a lot of different positions and you got playmakers in each of those positions, you know, game changers, whether it's Campbell or Genty right there. You got two guys that's going to be in the middle of those offense and defense. You got Alexander going to be right in the middle of that. I would even that'd be one of those great ones where you're putting Alexander into that rotation. And of course, you're talking about the safety position where we're talking about possibly cutting some people to get some money. We're not in that situation where we need to be there. And, of course, you know, they always want to get a wide receiver. And that's what we're talking about even with the free agency. Just because you maybe address it in the free agency doesn't mean you shouldn't address it also going into the draft. What's up?
No, I'm reading the chat. Oh, my God, that's funny. And he said Mark Holmes in this mock draft, he kept drafting Dak.
Every round.
Bugs Bunny on first, Bugs Bunny on second. But yes, we are in a draft season, man. I'm real excited. I'm excited for a free agency. I really think we're gonna fill some holes, Phil. I do. I really do think we're gonna fill some holes. Don't listen to Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones talking the talk. And I actually watched that interview again, and it wasn't as bad as it originally seemed that we weren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
Again, you're not making all this money to do nothing. Stephen Jones told you they were going to make moves. It just may not be the guys you want.
Well, I mean,
but it won't be the last after the. It won't. Not that they won't get guys after the draft, but they're not waiting till after the draft this year. They're not.
Correct.
In my opinion.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense when they talk about the selectively aggressive. Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to go for a defensive tackle, we're going to go for these particular ones, and we're not going to go beyond that. You know, oh, if we're going to go for the linebackers, we're going to go for these 1 or 2 linebackers. We're not going to go beyond. Oh, if we get into a bidding war, we're not going to go beyond that. It's like the the selectively aggressive ones. I totally understand that. Maybe you go with an Adams to pair with, and I'm not saying Adams, obviously. But I would like that just because that would be another threat that people would have to think of, that all the coverage wouldn't totally go to CD's side. And so, I mean, wishful thinking. This is the nice part of this year, is just kind of like you got your wish list together, kind of like it's Christmas. You feel that you've been good. We deserve these. We've had to put up with this stuff. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about what they do, and it's not very far away. Here we go. 2 days, right? 2 days or so away before.
Yeah.
For legal tampering. I think that's the most funniest thing. Legal tampering. That's
it's
like
legal
that
tampering,
illegal block in the back. It's like, what? It's not
illegal tampering, but that's the day where everything is announced and you just can't sign it. It's basically agency.
To me, it reminds me of how I am with Christmas presents. If I buy you a Christmas present, I kind of want you to open now. I don't really want you to open it up on Christmas and stuff. It's kind of, they're blurting that stuff out. They're so excited they can't keep it in, So it's interesting, man. Here we go. You're hearing a lot of rumors. I think in a lot of positions you're hearing, people being released, even ones that you kind of like never even thought were on the radar. Joey Bosa, for example, maybe going to San Francisco to play with his brother. But that's what you hear. You hear San Francisco in a lot of those conversations. It's going to be an interesting offseason because there's going to be a lot of moving parts. But again, I don't know, man. It's just something that, as Cowboy fans, you're not used to always being in the beginning part of that. So I mean, it's like, have fun and at least we're part of the conversation. It's not like the Derrick Henry where we're not even going to pick up the phone sometimes. And then the heartbreaking part is that sometimes it's not going to be the guy that you want it to be as well too. They're going to be aggressive against somebody and never even call the guy that you really wanted them to call. So here we go, off season. That's where it's going to break your heart and get you excited at the same time. It's kind of crazy. It's like love.
It is crazy. But it's awesome. Awesome.
It is, isn't it? But anyways, Bryan, the nice thing about it is we're going to be here in the off season. We're going to be doing the draft on our shows. We're not going to be traveling, freezing our asses off, or at least me freezing my ass off as we do the NFL draft for the next 2 years.
I'm not going to Green Bay.
I'm not going to Minnesota either, man. I like Minnesota. Don't get me wrong. Minnesota's nice and everything, but man, can we have it again?
Go to Pittsburgh the following year. I'm not going to.
Is that the following year? I thought it was Minnesota. My bad.
No, it's Pittsburgh next year, which is not that far from me, so I'd have to. I don't know that I would fly that, but it's still a rather lengthy drive. So I don't know. I'd have to figure that one out. Maybe Phil flies to my house, and then we drive. We rent a car and do a couple day trip, but we'll figure it out. That's a year away. So.
Well, Bryan, anything you want to talk about before we get out of here? I mean, I think we could go for another 2 or 3 hours with some of this conversation because.
And we're gonna start being more regular on this channel, but especially now that it's draft season. But now, man, I think we are all just waiting. It's very quiet at the start. It's very quiet, but I think we're actually going to be happy. Of course, I want everybody to understand. They're not going to go out on the.
I think something happens this weekend. Something happens this weekend.
I think something happens.
Something happens
big, more than we are expecting. Maybe a trade. That's all I could say. Maybe a trade
or the actual signing, stuff like that. Something's going on.
I just don't see Micah getting done after what Crosby got. I think that's going to be a while, and it's frustrating. But
especially when it just started talking and stuff. I mean, yep.
If I told you Jordan Lewis gets done before Monday, and that's it. Would you be upset?
No, I would at least getting one of our guys. I feel Jordan Lewis is one of those priority guys.
I think Jordan Lewis, when you wake up on Monday before legal tampering, he's done, and we'll be.
Thank you, Curtis.
I mean, I think D-Law's gone. In my opinion, I hope we get him back, but I'm not heartbroken over it because there's some edge rushers I really love in this draft. So I'm fine with moving on from him. I would like to have him, but he's got to help us out a little bit. Mr. And Twinkle Toes, who keeps snapping his feet. So, I don't know, man. He needs to go to a massage therapist. Call Deshaun Watson. See, maybe they could toughen up his feet or something. I don't know. He's always hurting his feet. But anyway.
Well, Game Time, man, I appreciate you coming through. We had to do it on a different day. I have a very busy weekend this weekend. Very busy. It's funny, man. Every time I hear that some of these announcers going off, I hear you kind of mocking their voices in the background. I'm like, man, yeah, he nailed it right there, man. Especially those NFL Films one, those older style guys.
Yeah.
So Game Time, I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you talking football, man. We're right back at it. It feels. I know you didn't stop. You're constantly you were going and going, but I'm happy to be back and talking to you guys, seeing the chat. I apologize. I'm not getting as involved with you guys, but there's a lot to talk about. So I'm trying to bring you in, trying to feature it on the overlay, because obviously it's to me it's all about you guys and you kind of steer it. Sometimes we have no idea where we're going to go with some of these conversations, and you kind of just help us steer it and really kind of just give us the conversations to kind of go with. So we appreciate you guys coming through. Let us know how you feel about the free agency. Is it, it does feel different. I don't know if it's a Brian Schottenheimer type of situation, but I at least am happy again about the coaching staff going forward. And at least that's one or two good moves that we had. And let's see what happens in the next following week, because this is going to get exciting, I think. So Game Time, I appreciate you coming through. Appreciate everybody coming through. And don't forget to do what?
Buy these great hoodies. Oh, sorry. Now, ring that bell. Ring that bell.
All right, man. And buy the hoodies as well. Peace.
Oh, prime time.
All right, good job, guys. Let's just not come in tomorrow. Let's just take a day.
Talking prime rib in bed. I'm using a blanket as a napkin. That's fancy. That's fancy.
Real fancy.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I think we handled that with dignity.
Free candy!
Joni loves Chachi.